Hi, my name is Shayla Lee, and I'm going to be presenting on sex, gender identity, and gender expression. First, we're going to talk about the overview of the history of how back then the perfect ideal household was that the women were at home cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the kids while the men were at work. Things are changing now because women are now working outside, not home, and dressing however they want, but people still have the ideal image of that perfect household being the women at home and the men at work. But our current generations are trying to steer away from that ideal. Now we're going to be talking about sex versus gender. Sex is what was assigned to a person at birth based on their physical characteristics, including their genitalia and their chromosomes composition. And then gender is a very broad spectrum since it's how a person identifies themselves as at any point of their lives. And now we're going to be talking about gender identity and gender expression. Gender identity is how a person might see themselves. This comes from internal senses of how they personally identify with themselves as. And there are so many different types of identities out there, like transgender, non-binary, and gender fluid, and etc. Next is gender expression. This is how a person presents themselves to other people in this world. They might not identify as what they're expressing, but they show their expressions through their hair, makeup, clothes, and their hobbies. Next, we're going to talk about pronouns, and pronouns are based on a person's gender identity. People's pronouns may not always match their gender expression. So examples of different pronouns are she, her, he, him, they, them, and many more. There are also neo-pronouns, which are words created to serve as pronouns: bun, bun-self, kid, kid-self, etc. If you don't know exactly what a person's pronouns are, you can always ask. It's always polite and it's always respectful. Next are, what are your pronouns? Next, we're going to talk about gender roles / norms and stereotypes. Gender roles is a social norm of behaviors and attitudes that are considered acceptable and appropriate for a person based on their gender. For example, feminine is submissive, sensitive, and home-orientated, while masculine is aggressive, tough, and work-orientated. Can you think of people that defy gender stereotypes? So here are some people in pop culture that defy gender norms. That is Harry Styles. He wore a dress in a Vogue magazine. This is Lil Nas X. He wore a dress at the award ceremony. And this is Luke Hemmings, where he wore makeup. Next, we're going to talk about how people that don't meet expectations are treated in society. Though this topic is more discussed now, society still does not like people's personal preferences on gender identity and gender norms. For example, on January 12, 2021, there was an attack on transgender activists in Pakistan. In Romania, they proposed bills that prohibited talks about gender, theory, or opinion in educational establishments. In Honduras, on March 9th, 2018, there was killings of trans women and gay men. So with that being said, what teachers should do is that they should ask students for their pronouns in the beginning of the year to get to know them, and have conversations about this topic to students, and do not stick to traditional gender norms, and overall be respectful to the students with expressions and identity. Lastly, we're going to talk about the case study of Timmy. Timmy was a student in Miss Grover's class and was bullied because he tended to do things that were girly. Miss Grover was warned about Timmy's situation ever since kindergarten because teachers noticed that he gravitated towards girly things like wearing princess dresses or wearing tiaras. Though some students didn't really mind that he was playing with these toys, other students made fun of him. His mother and his kindergarten teacher didn't really mind him playing with these toys as well, but his first and second grade teachers seemed to notice that the teasing got worse. He slowly fell out of his friend circle and they continued to tease him, but he was not upset about losing friends. One day, students were standing around Timmy's desk bullying him because he had painted nails, saying things like, "Timmy's a girl," but that did not make Timmy feel the greatest. Miss Grover came to his defense, telling the class to stop teasing, but Miss Grover was conflicted because she wanted Timmy to express himself, but she understood how cruel these kids could be and wanted to do everything except alienate Timmy. With that being said, what would you do in a Miss Grover situation? And that is the end.